Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be reading Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, chapters 9 through 10. Um, um, Sorry I haven't been posting lately. I've been dealing with some stuff. So, yeah. Yay, today's Friday, and I promise I will be posting more often than I am. So, yeah. If you guys want me to read any other type of books, just let me know down in the comments. But, yeah. Alright. Chapter 9, The Midnight Duel. Harry never believed he would meet a boy he hated more than Dudley. But that was before he met Draco Malfoy. Still, first-year Gryffindors only had potions for the Slytherins, so they didn't have to put up with Draco much. Or at least they didn't until they spotted a notice pinned up in the Gryffindor common room that made them all groan. Flying lessons would be starting on Thursday, and Gryffindor and Slytherin would be learning together. Typical, said Harry darkly. Just what I always wanted, to make a fool of myself on a broomstick in front of Malfoy. Yikes. He had been looking forward to learning to fly more than anything else. You don't know what you'll make a fool of yourself. Okay, wait, I'm gonna reread that. You don't know that you'll make a fool of yourself, said Ron, reasonably. Anyway, I know Malfoy's always going on about how good he's at Quidditch, but I bet that's all talk. Malfoy certainly did talk about flying a lot. He complained loudly about first years never getting on the house Quidditch team, and long and told long boastful stories that always seemed to end with him narrowly escaping Muggles in helicopters. It wasn't the only one though. The way Seamus Finnegan told it, he spent most of his childhood zooming around to the countryside on his broomstick. Even Ron would tell anyone who'd listen about the time he'd almost hit a hit a hang glider on Charlie's old broom. Everyone from wizarding families talked about Quidditch constantly. Ron had already had a big argument with Dean Thomas, who shared their dormitory about soccer. Ron didn't see what was exciting about a game that only one ball where no one was allowed to fly. Harry thought had caught Ron probing Dean's poster of West Ham soccer team trying to make the players move. Neville had never been on a broomstick in his life because his grandmother had never let him near one. Privately, Harry felt she'd had a good reason, because Neville managed to have extraordinarily number of accidents, even from both feet on the ground. Hermione Granger was almost as nervous about flying as Neville was. This was something you couldn't learn by heart or out of a book. Not that she hadn't tried. At breakfast on Thursday, she bored them all stupid with a flying tip she'd gotten out of a library book called Quidditch Through the Ages. Neville was hanging on to her every word.
Hello.
Hey, what up? I have allergies. No, I'm not sick. Don't even start. Here.
I got you sick. What?
You want to read from
Really?
here until I'll be back? KK's gonna narrate for me.
If I can read. I don't have my glasses.
She's a really good reader. Ignore her.
Wait, Will? Neville?
Yeah, from the part where it says Neville.
Neville was hanging on to every word, despair for everything that might help him hang on to his broomstick later. But everybody else was very pleased when Hermione lectured was interpreted by the level of the mail. Harry hadn't had a single letter since Hagrid's note something that Malfoy had been quick to notice, of course. Malfoy Eagle's owl was always bringing him packages of sweet from home. Can you please find my glasses? No, give me my glasses. No. No. I'm not giving you the book back.
Okay. What she opened gloatingly.
I want to read it.
House.
No, I want to read it. I have to see my glasses.
I'm back though. This is my pencil.
I'm taking over our channel.
No, she's not. Hey, stop it.
Help.
Hey, she doesn't need help. She's fine.
Okay. So,
Can I have the book back?
when she opened, no. When she
Kayla,
opened jewelry at this little
give me
table,
the book
the
back.
born out brought Neville a small package from his grandmother. Wait till I at least get to here.
Fine.
He opened it excitedly and showed them a glass ball the size of a large marble, which seemed full of white smoke. It's a what's it called?
That's where I start reading. Fine, and it says it's a remember all.
Remember what he is explained. Gran knows I forgot the thanks to this tells you if you're something you've forgotten to do. Look, you hold it tight like this, and if it turns red, oh, his face fell because the remember bar had suddenly gone scarlet. You forgotten something? Okay, I give up. Screw it. I can't read with a dookie.
Yes, you can. Neville was trying to remember what he'd forgotten when Draco Malfoy, who was passing the Gryffindor table, snatched the remember-all out of his hand. Harry and Ron jumped to their feet. They were half hoping for a reason to fight Malfoy, but Professor McGonagall, who could spot trouble quicker than any teacher in the school, was there in a flash. What are you doing?
Fixing my hair by looking at the screen so I can.
What's going on? Malfoy's got my remember-all, Professor. Scowling, Malfoy quickly dropped the remember-all back on the table. Just looking, he said as he slipped away with Crabbe and Goyle behind him. I hate allergies. At 3:30 that afternoon, Harry, Ron, and the other... See, this is why I don't let her in here when I do videos, because she tries to kill everything.
Boop, boop, it's a bun bun. Boop, boop, it's a bun bun. Boop, boop, it's a bun bun. Boop, boop, it's a bun bun.
At 3:30 that afternoon, Harry, Ron, and the other Gryffindors hurried down the front steps on the ground for their first flying lesson. It was a clear, breezy day, and the grass rippled under their feet as they marched down the sloping lawns towards a smooth... That's the point. Flat lawns.
It's not always to make you sleep.
What? She could be like that. I love her though, and she's adorable. Flat lawn on the opposite side of the grounds to the Forbidden Forest, whose trees were swaying darkly in the distance. The Slytherins were already there, and so were 20 broomsticks lying in neat lines on the ground. Harry had heard Fred and George Weasley complain about the school brooms, saying that some of them started to vibrate if you flew too high, or always flew slightly to the left. Their teacher, Madam Hooch, arrived. She was short, gray hair, and yellow eyes just like a hawk. What? I want yellow eyes, that'd be cool. Well, what are you waiting for? She barked. Everyone stand by your broom. Come on, hurry up. Harry glanced down at his broom. It was old, and some of the twigs stuck out at odd angles. Stick your right hand over your broom, called Madam Hooch at the front, and say up, up. everyone shouted. Harry's broom jumped into his hand at once, but it was one of the few that did. Hermione Granger's had simply rolled over on the ground, and Neville's hadn't moved at all. Perhaps brooms, like horses, could tell when you're afraid, Harry. There was a quiver in Neville's voice that said only too clearly that he wanted to keep his feet on the ground. Madam Hooch then showed them how to mount their brooms, without sliding off the end, and walked up and down the rows, correcting their grips. Harry and Ron were delighted when she told Malfoy he'd been doing it wrong for years. Now, when I blow my whistle, you take it off from the ground hard, said Madam Hooch. Keep your brooms steady, rise a few feet, and then come straight back down by leaning forward slightly on my whistle. 3, 2, but Neville, nervous and jumpy, and frightened of being left on the ground, pushed off hard before the whistle had touched Madam Hooch's lips. Come back, boy, she shouted, but Neville was rising straight up like a cork shot out of the bottle. 12 feet. 20 feet. Harry saw his scared white face looked down at the ground, falling away, saw him slide sideways off the broom, and wham! A thud and a nasty crack, and Neville's face lay face down on the ground in the grass in a heap. His broomstick was still rising higher and higher, and started to drift lazily towards the forbidden forest and out of sight. Madam Hooch was bending over Neville, her face as white as his broken wrist. Harry heard her mutter, "Come on, boy, it's all right. Up you get." She turned to the rest of the class. "Now, none of you is to move while I take this boy to the hospital wing. You leave those brooms where they are, or you'll be out of Hogwarts before you can say Quidditch. Come on, dear." Neville's face, tear-streaked, clenching his wrist, hobbled off of Madam Hooch, who had her arm around him. No sooner were they out of earshot than Malfoy burst into laughter. "Did you see his face? The great lump?" The other Slytherins joined in. "Shut up, Malfoy," snapped Parzival Patel. "You tell him, girl." And Malfoy, quit being an asshole towards everyone. I mean, I swear, you are such an ass. Swear. "Ooh, sticking up for Longbottom," said Pansy Parkinson, a hard-faced Slytherin girl. "Never thought you'd like fat little crying babies, part of it, part bit I don't know how to say her name. Okay, and Pansy, you need to shut up. You are a freaking first year, and so is she. She's a Gryffindor, you're a Slytherin. Get the crap along. You two are freaking ridiculous." "Well, you and Malfoy are. I mean, I swear." "Look," said Malfoy, darting forward and snatching something out of the grass. "It's the stupid thing Longbottom's grand sent him." The Remember-all glittered in the sun as he held it up. "Give it here, Malfoy," said Harry quickly. Everyone stopped talking to watch. Malfoy smiled nastily. "I think I'll leave it somewhere for Longbottom to find. How about up a tree?" "Oh, for the love of God, Malfoy, would you stop it? Seriously, just stop, dude." "Give it here," Harry yelled, but Malfoy had leaned onto his broomstick and taken off. He hadn't been lying. He could fly well. Hovering level with the topmost branches of an oak, he called, "Come and get it, Potter." Harry grasped his broom. "No!" shouted Hermione Granger. "Madam Hooch told us not to move. You'll get us all in trouble." "Technically, only them two will get in trouble, Hermione." Harry ignored her. Blood was pounding in his ears. He mounted the broom and kicked hard against the ground, and up he soared. Air rustled through his hair, and his robes whipped out behind him. And in a rush of fierce joy, he realized he'd found something he could do without being taught. This was easy. This was wonderful. He pulled his broomstick up a little to take it even higher, and heard screams and gasps of girls back on the ground, and an admiring wink from Ron. He turned his broomstick sharply to face Malfoy in midair. Malfoy looked stunned. Ugh. Give it here, Harry yelled, or I'll knock you off your broom. Oh, yeah, said Malfoy, trying to sneer, but looking worried. Harry knew somehow what to do. He leaned forward and grasped the broom tightly in his hands, and it shot towards Malfoy like a javelin. Malfoy only just got out of the way in time. Harry made a sharp about face and held the broom steady. A few people below were clapping. No Crab and Goyle up here to save your neck, Malfoy, Harry called. The same thing seemed to have struck Malfoy. Catch it if you can, then, he shouted and threw the glass ball high in the air and striking back towards the ground. Harry saw, as though in slow motion, the ball rise up in the air and then start to fall. He leaned forward and pointed his broom handle down. Next second, he was gathering speed in a steep dive, racing the ball. With wind whistled in his ear, mangled with the screams of people watching, he stretched out his arm. A foot from the ground, he caught it, just in time to pull his broom straight, and he toppled gently onto the grass while the Remember-All clutched safely in his fist. Yay! Go, Harry! Harry Potter! His heart sank faster than he'd just dived. Professor McGonagall was running towards them. He got to his feet, trembling. Never in all my time at Hogwarts. Of course, you were a student there, so holy crap. Professor McGonagall was almost speechless with shock, and her glasses flashed furiously. How dare you! Might have broken your neck! It wasn't his fault, Professor. Be quiet, Miss Patel. But Malfoy, that's enough, Mr. Weasley. Potter, follow me now. Dude, you are so screwed. McGonagall's gonna kill you. Oh, I hope he doesn't die. Because McGonagall may or may not kill him. I'm just warning. Oh, jeez. What is McGonagall gonna do? Ugh, I hate allergies. Harry caught sight of Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle's triumphant faces as he left, walking numbly in Professor McGonagall's wake. As she strode towards the castle, he was going to be expelled. He just knew it. He wanted to say something to defend himself, but there seemed to be something wrong with his voice. Oh, yeah, no, duh. It's called Professor McGonagall. And the fact he might be sent back to the Dudleys. Professor McGonagall was sweeping along without even looking at him. He had to jog to keep up. Now he'd done it. He hadn't even lasted 2 weeks. He'd be packing his bag in 10 minutes. What would the Dursleys say when he returned up on the doorstep? Upon the first steps, up the marble staircase, inside, and still Professor McGonagall didn't say a word to him. She wrenched open doors and marched along corridors with Harry trotting miserably behind her. Maybe she was taking him to Dumbledore. He thought of Hagrid, expelled but allowed to stay on as gamekeeper. Maybe he could be Hagrid's assistant. His stomach twisted in imagining it, watching Ron and the others becoming wizards while he stumped around the grounds carrying Hagrid's bag. Professor McGonagall stopped outside a classroom. She opened the door and poked her head in. Excuse me, Professor Flitwick, could I borrow wood for a moment? Wood? Thought Harry, bewildered. Was wood the cane she was going to use on him? Good God, Harry. But Wood turned out to be a person, a blurry fifth-year boy who came out of Flitwick's class looking confused. Jeez, Harry. Not like McGonagall's gonna kill you. Follow me, you two, Professor McGonagall said, and they marched on up the corridor, Wood looking curiously at Harry. In here, Professor McGonagall pointed them in a classroom that was empty except for Peeves, who was busy writing root words on the blackboard. Out, Peeves! She barked. Peeves threw the chalk in a bin, which clanged loudly, and he swooped out, cursing. Professor McGonagall slammed the door shut behind him and turned to face the two boys. Potter, this is Oliver Wood. Wood, I found you a seeker. Wood's expression changed from puzzlement to delight. Are you serious, Professor? Absolutely, said Professor McGonagall crisply. This boy's a natural. I've never seen anything like it. Was that your first time on a broomstick, Potter? Harry nodded silently. He didn't have a clue what was going on, but he didn't seem to be being expelled, and some of the feelings started coming back to his legs. He caught that thing in his hand about a 50-foot dive. After a 50-foot dive, Professor McGonagall told Wood. Didn't even scratch himself. Charlie Weasley couldn't have done it. Wood was now looking as though all his dreams had come true at once. Ever since a game, ever seen a game of Quidditch better? He asked excitedly. Wood's captain of the Gryffindor team, Professor McGonagall explained. He's just the build for a secret too, said Wood, now walking around Harry and staring at him. Light? Speedy? We'll have to get him a decent broom, Professor. A Nimbus 2000 or a Clean Sweep 7, I'd say. I shall speak to Professor Dumbledore and see if we can't ban the first year rule. Heaven knows we need a better team than last year. Flattened in the last match by Slytherin, I couldn't look at Severus Snape in the face for weeks. Swear them two professors don't ever get along. Professor McGonagall peered sternly over her glasses at Harry. I want to hear you're training hard, Potter, or I might change my mind about punishing you. Then she suddenly smiled. Your father would have been proud, she said. He was an excellent Quidditch player himself. You're joking. It was dinner time. Harry had just finished telling Ron what happened when he left the grounds with Professor McGonagall. Ron had a piece of steak and kidney pie halfway in his mouth, but he'd forgotten all about it. Seeker, he said, but the first year's never. You must be the youngest Seeker, youngest house player in about a century, said Harry, shoving pie into his mouth. He felt particularly hungry after the excitement of the afternoon. Wood told me. Ron was so amazed, so impressed, he just sat and gasped at Harry. I start training next week, said Harry. Only don't tell anyone. Wood wants to keep it a secret. Fred and George now came into the hall, spotting Harry, and hurried over. Do 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 do. Okay, let's stop. Well done, said George in his low voice. Wood told us. We're on a team too. Beaters. I'll tell you, we're going to win the Quidditch Cup for sure this year, said Fred. We haven't won since Charlotte left, but this year's team is going to be brilliant. You must be good, Harry. Wood was almost skipping when he told us. Anyway, we've got to go. Lee Jordan reckons he found a new secret passageway out of the school. Bet it's that one behind the statue of Gregory the Schmiery that we found in our first week. See you. Fred and George had hardly disappeared when someone far less welcome turned up. Malfoy, flanked by Crabbe and Goyle. Having your last meal, Potter. When are you getting the train? When are you getting the train back to the Muggles? You're a lot braver now that you're back on the ground and you've got your little friends with you, said Harry coolly. There was, of course, nothing at all little about Crabbe and Goyle, but as the high table was full of teachers, neither of them could do more than crack their knuckles and scowl. I'll take you on any time on my own, said Malfoy. Tonight, if you want. Wizard's duel. Wands only, no contact. What's the matter? Never heard of a wizard's duel before, I suppose? Of course he has, said Ron, wheeling round. I'm his second. Who's yours? He looked at Crabbe and Goyle, sizing them up. Crabbe, he said. Midnight, all right? We'll meet you in the trophy room. That's always unlocked. When Malfoy had gone, Ron and Harry looked at each other. This is bad. What's a wizard's duel? Said Harry. And what do you mean you're my second? Well, a second takes a place over if you die, said Ron casually, getting started at last on his cold pie. Catching a look on Harry's face, he quickly added, but people only die in proper duels, you know, with real wizards. The most you and Malfoy will be able to do is send sparks at each other. Neither of you knows enough magic to do any real damage. I bet he'll expect you to refuse anyways. And what if I wave my wand and nothing happens? Throw it away and punch him on the nose, Ron suggested. Excuse me. Both looked up. It was Hermione Granger. Can't a person eat in peace in this place? Said Ron. Hermione ignored him and spoke to Harry. I couldn't help overhear what you and Malfoy were saying. Bet you could. Ron muttered, and you mustn't go wandering around the school at night. Think of the points you'll lose, Gryffindor. If you're caught, and you're bound to be, it's really selfish of you. And it's really none of your business, said Harry. Goodbye, said Ron. All the same, it wasn't what you'd call the perfect end to the day. Harry thought he'd as he lay awake much later, listening to Dean and Seamus falling asleep. Neville wasn't back from the hospital wing. Ron had spent all evening giving him advice such as, if he tries to curse you, you'd better dodge it because I can't remember how to block him. There are several good chances they are going to get caught by Filch or Mrs. Norris, and Harry felt he was pushing his luck, breaking another school rule today. On the other hand, Malfoy's sneering face kept looming out of the darkness. It was his big chance to beat Malfoy face to face. He couldn't miss it. 11:30, Ron muttered at last. We'd better go. He pulled on their bathrobes, picking up their wands, and crept across the tower room, down the spiral staircase, and into the Gryffindor common room. A few embers were still glowing in the fireplace, turning all the armchairs into hunched-back shadows. They had almost reached the portrait hole when a voice spoke from the chair near them. Can't believe you're going to do this, Harry. A lamp flickered on. It was Hermione Granger, wearing a pink bathrobe and a frown. You, said Ron furiously. Go back to bed! I almost told you. Your brother, Hermione snapped. Percy. He's a perfect. He'd put a stop to this. Can you two stop your stupid bickering? This is stupid. Harry couldn't believe anyone could be so infuriating. Come on, he said to Ron. He pushed open the portrait of the fat lady and climbed through the hole. Hermione wasn't going to give up that easily. She followed Ron through the portrait hole, hissing at him like an angry goose. Don't you care about Gryffindor? Do you only care about yourselves? I don't want Slytherin to win the House Cup, and you'll lose all the points I got from Professor McGonagall for knowing about switching spells. Go away! All right, but I warned you, if you just remember what I said when you're on the train home tomorrow. But what they were, they didn't find out. Hermione had turned to the portrait of the fat lady to get back inside and find herself facing an empty painting. The fat lady had gone on a nighttime visit, and Hermione was locked out of the Gryffindor Tower. Now what am I going to do? She asked cheerily. That's your problem, said Ron. We're going to go. We're going to be late. We've got to go. We're going to be late. They hadn't even reached the end of the corridor when Hermione caught up with them. I'm coming with you, she said. No, you're not. You are not. Don't you think I'm going to stand out here? Do you think I'm going to stand out here and wait for Filch to catch me? If he finds all three of us, I'll tell him the truth and that I was trying to stop you, and you can back me up. You've got some nerve, said Ron loudly. Shut up, both of you, said Harry sharply. I heard something. It was a sort of snuffle. Mrs. Norris, breathing Ron quickly through the dark. It wasn't Mrs. Norris. It was Neville. He was curled up in the floor, fast asleep, but jerked suddenly awake as they crept nearer. Thank goodness she found me. I've been out here for hours. I couldn't remember the new password to get into bed. Keep your voice down, Neville. The password's pig snout. But it won't help you now. The fat lady's gone off somewhere. How's your arm? Said Harry. Fine, said Neville, showing them. Madame Pomfrey mended it in about a minute. Neville, I feel really bad for you because you always forget like those passwords and stuff. I feel so bad. I'm so tired. Squishy, 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 squishy ties. Sorry, I'm just being weird. Good. Well, look, Neville, we've got to be somewhere. We'll see you later. Don't leave me, said Neville, scrambling to his feet. I don't want to stay here alone. The Bloody Baron's been past twice already. Ron looked at his watch and then glared furiously at Hermione and Neville. If either of you get us caught, I'll never rest until I've learned the curse of the bogies Quirrell told us about and use on you. If either of you get us caught, I'll... Oh, wait, I just said that. Oh, my bad. Hermione opened her mouth, perhaps to tell Ron exactly how to use the curse of the bogies, but Harry hissed at her to be quiet and beckoned them all forward. They flittered along the corridor, striped with bars of moonlight from the high windows. At every turn, Harry expected to run into Filch or Mrs. Norris, but they were lucky. They sped up a staircase to the third floor and tiptoed towards the trophy room. Malfoy and Crabbe weren't there yet. The crystal trophy case, glimmered where the moonlight caught them. Cups, shields, plates, and statues winked silver and gold in the darkness. They edged along the wall, keeping their eyes on the doors at either end of the room. Harry took out his wand in case Malfoy leaned in and started at once. The minutes crept by. He's late. Maybe he's chickened out, Ron whispered. Then a noise in the next room made him jump. Harry had only just risen his wand when he heard something speak, and it wasn't Malfoy. Sniff around, my sweet. They might be lurking in a corner. It was Filch speaking to Mrs. Norris. Horror-struck Harry waved madly at the other three to follow him quickly as possible. Oh boy. They scurried silently through the door, away from Filch's voice. Neville's robes had barely whipped around the corridor when they had heard Filch enter the trophy room. They're in here somewhere, they heard him mutter. Probably hiding. This way. Harry mouthed to the others, petrified, they began to creep down a long gallery full of suits of armor. They could hear Filch getting nearer. Neville suddenly let out a frightened squeak and broke into a run. He tripped, grabbing Ron around the waist, and the pair of them toppled right into a statue of armor. The clanging and crashing were enough to wake the whole castle. Run! Harry yelled, and the four of them sprinted down the gallery, looking back to see whether Filch was following. They swung around the doorpost and galloped down one corridor, then another. Harry then in the lead, without any idea where they were going. They ripped through the tapestry and found themselves in a hidden passageway, hurtled along it, and out came near their charms classroom, which they knew was miles from the trophy room. I think we've lost him, Harry panted, leaning against the cold wall and wiping his forehead. Neville was bent double, wheezing and sputtering. I told you, Hermione gasped, clutching at the stitch in her dress. I told you. We've got to get back to Gryffindor Tower, said Ron, quickly as possible. Malfoy tricked you, Hermione said to Harry. You realize that, don't you? He was never going to meet you. Filch knew someone was going to be in the trophy room. Malfoy must have tipped him off. Harry thought he was probably right, but he wasn't going to tell her that. Let's go. It wasn't going to be that simple. They hadn't gone more than a dozen paces when a doorknob rattled and something came shooting out of the classroom in front of them. It was Peeves. He caught sight of them and gave a squeak of delight. Shut up, Peeves, please, you'll get us thrown out. Peeves chuckled. Wandering around at midnight, icky firsties, tut, tut, tut. Naughty, naughty, naughty. You'll get caughty. Peeves, you're so weird. Not if you don't give us away, Peeves, please. Should tell Filch I should, said Peeves in a saintly voice, but his eyes glittered wickedly. It's for your own good, you know. Get out of the way, Ron snapped, taking a swipe at Peeves. This was a big mistake. Students, out of bed, Peeves bellowed. Students out of bed, down the charms corridor. Ducking under Peeves, they ran for their living lives right to the next end of the corridor, where they slammed into a door and it was locked. That's it, Ron moaned as they pushed hopelessly at the door. We're done for. This is the end. Ron, you were. They could hear footsteps. Filch running as fast as he could towards Peeves' shop. Oh, move over, Hermione snarled. She grabbed Harry's wand, tapped the lock, and whispered, Alohomora. The lock clicked and the door swung open. They piled through it, shut it quickly, and pressed their ears against it, listening. Which way did they go, Peeves? Filch was saying. Quick, tell me. Say please. Don't mess with me, Peeves. Now where did they go? Shan't say nothing if you don't say please, said Peeves in his annoyed singing voice. All right, please. Nothing. Ha ha. Told you I would say nothing if you said please. Ha 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 ha. And he heard the sound of Peeves wishing away and Filch cursing in rage. He thinks the door is locked, Harry whispered. I think we'll be okay. Get off, Neville. For Neville had been tugging on the sleeve of Harry's bathrobe for the last minute. What? Harry turned around and saw quite clearly what, for a moment, he was sure he'd always had a nightmare. This was too much. On top of everything that had happened so far. They were in a room. They had, as he had supposed, they were in a corridor, the forbidden corridor on the third floor, and now they knew why it was forbidden. They were looking straight into the eyes of a monstrous dog, a dog that filled the whole space between ceiling and floor. It had 3 heads, 3 pairs of rolling mad eyes, 3 noses, twitching and quivering in no direction, 3 drooling mouths, saliva hanging in slippery ropes from yellow fangs. Okay. Get a real job. Seriously? Who in their right effing who in their right effing mind puts a 3-headed dog in a school full of friggin' students? Who? I'll tell you, Albus freaking Perseveric Wilford freaking Brian does because he's freaking insane! And I lost our page. Wait. I swear, Dumbledore's freaking insane. No, I'm not crying, and I'm not sick or anything. It's just my allergies. Ugh, and I hate them. My allergies, that is. It was standing quite still, all 6 eyes staring at them. And Harry knew that the only reason they weren't already dead was that their sudden appearance had taken it by surprise, but it was quickly getting over that. There was no mistaking what those thunderous growls meant. Harry gripped for the doorknob. Between Filch and death, he'd take Filch. Yeah, so would I. They fell backward. Harry slammed the door shut. And they ran. They almost flew back down the corridor. Filch must have hurried off to look for them somewhere else, because they didn't see him anywhere. But they cared. All they wanted to do was put as much space as possible between them and that monster. They didn't stop running until they reached the portrait of the fat lady on the 7th floor. Where on earth have you all been? She asked, looking at their bathrobes hanging off their shoulders and their flushed, sweaty faces. Never mind that. Pig snout, Harry panted, and the portrait swung open forwardly. They scrambled into the common room and collapsed trembling into armchairs. It was a while before any of them said anything. Neville indeed looked as if he'd never speak again. What do they think they're doing, keeping a thing like that locked up in a school? That's what I'm saying, said Ron finally. If any dog needs exercise, That's what that one does. Hermione had got both of her breath and her bad temper back again. Oh boy. You don't use your eyes, any of you, do you? She snapped. Didn't you see what it was standing on? The floor, Harry suggested. I wasn't looking at its feet. I was too busy with its head! Heads! No, not the floor. It was standing on a trapdoor. It's obviously guarding something. She stood up, glaring at them. I hope you're pleased with yourself. We could have all been killed, or worse, expelled. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to bed. Ron stared at her, after her, his mouth open. No, we don't mind, he said. You think we'd drag her along? We dragged her along. Wouldn't you? Ugh. But Hermione had given Harry something to think about. As he climbed back into bed, the dog was guarding something. What Hagrid had said, Gringotts was the safest place in the world for something you wanted to hide, except maybe Hogwarts. It looked as though Harry had found out what the grumbly little package from Vault 713 was. Oh crap. Yeah, it's called the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry. Chapter 10. Halloween! I love Halloween. What's your favorite season? Let me down below in the comments. Malfoy couldn't believe his eyes when he saw that Harry and Ron were still at Hogwarts the next day. He looked looking tired but perfectly cheerful. Indeed, the next morning, Harry and Ron thought that meeting the three-headed dog had been an excellent adventure, and they were quite keen to have another one in the meantime. Harry filled Ron in about the package that seemed to have been moved from Gringotts to Hogwarts, and they spent a lot of time wondering what could possibly need such heavy protection. It's either really valuable or really dangerous, said Ron. Or both, said Harry. But as they knew for sure about the mysterious package was that it was about 2 inches long, they didn't have much chance of guessing what it was without further clues. Neither Neville nor Hermione showed the slightest interest in what lay underneath the dog and the trap door. All Neville cared about was going near the dog again. Hermione was now refusing to speak to Harry and Ron, but she was such a bossy know-it-all that they saw this as an added bonus. All they really wanted now was a way of getting back at Malfoy, and to their great delight, such a thing arrived in the mail about a week later. As the owls flooded into the great hall as usual, everyone's attention was caught at once by a long, thin package carried by 6 large, scrawny screech owls. Harry was just as interested as everyone else to see who was this large parcel, and was amazed when the owls soared down and dropped it in front of him, knocking his bacon to the floor. They had hardly fluttered out of the way when another owl dropped a letter on top of the parcel. Harry ripped open the letter first, which was lucky, because it said, "Do not open the parcel at the table. It contains your Nimbus 2000, but I don't want everyone knowing you've got a broomstick, although I'll want one. Oliver Wood will meet you tonight on the Quidditch field at 7 o'clock for your first training session. Professor Minerva McGonagall." Harry had difficulty hiding his glee as he handed the note to Ron to read. "Nimbus 2000," Ron moaned enviously. "I've never even touched one." They left the hall quickly, wanting to unwrap their broomstick in private before their first class, but halfway across the entrance hall, they found the way upstairs guarded by Crabbe and Goyle. Malfoy seized a package from Harry and felt it. "That's a broomstick," he said, throwing it back to Harry, with a mixture of jealousy and spite on his face. "You'll be in for it this time, Potter. First years aren't allowed them." Ron couldn't resist. It's not any old broomstick," he said. "It's a Nimbus 2000. "What, did you say you've got a Malfoy? Comet 260? Ron, I'm gonna kill you." Ron grinned at Harry. "Comets look flashy, but they're not in the same league as the Nimbus. What would you know about it, Weasley? You can't afford half the handle. Malfoy stepped back. I suppose you and your brothers have to save up twig by twig. Before Ron could answer, Professor Flitwick appeared at Malfoy's elbow. Not arguing, I hope, boys? Yes, they are arguing. They're freaking fighting like freaking 2-year-olds. Potter's been sent a broomstick, Professor, said Malfoy quickly. Yes, that's right, said Professor Flitwick, beaming at Harry. Professor McGonagall told me all about the special circumstances, Potter, and what a model it is. A Nimbus 2000. And what model is it? A Nimbus 2000, sir, said Harry, fighting not to laugh at the look of horror on Malfoy's face. It is really thanks to Malfoy here that I got it, he added. Harry and Ron headed upstairs, smothering their laughter at Malfoy's obvious rage and confusion. It's actually very funny. Hi, what?
Hi! This one song I'm listening to. Look.
It's called I Love the Way You Lie.
By
Eminem?
and
Rihanna sings it, or however the hell you say her name. I don't know how to say her name. I'm tired and my allergies are acting up and I just want to go sleep.
Wait, can you pause it so you can help me with the dogs? Please.
Vicky?
No, Mommy said you help me.
Why?
I have to be sure let you help me.
You do.
Pause
Okay,
it.
well, let me finish because, well, if I pause it, it's gonna stop running. So let me finish
But
this.
I need it. Mommy said to get to it now.
Well, I
I
don't
like
think.
you being my channel.
Look, I only have one.
I like you being my
two.
channel.
Okay, well, I'm almost done. Chill.
I like you.
Well, it's true,
Oh,
said
P.S.
Harry.
Follow me on YouTube. It's KK Stars. SKAKASTAR. Yes.
Well, it's true. Harry chored as they reached the top of the marble staircase. If he hadn't stolen Neville's Rememberall, I wouldn't be on the team. So I suppose you think that it's a reward for breaking rules, came an angry voice from just behind them. Hermione was stomping up the stairs, looking disapproving at the package in Harry's hand. I thought you weren't speaking to us. Yes, don't stop now, said Ron. It's doing so much good. Hermione marched away with her nose in the air. Harry had a lot of trouble keeping his mind on his lessons that day. It kept wandering up to the dormitory where his new broomstick was lying under the bed, or staring off to the Quidditch field where he'd be learning to play that night. He bolted his dinner that evening without noticing what he was eating, and then rushed upstairs with Ron to unwrap the Nimbus 2000 at last. Wow, said Ron, as the broomstick rolled onto Harry's bedspread. Even Harry, who knew nothing about the different brooms, thought it looked wonderful. Sleek and shiny, with a mahogany handle, it had a long tail of neat, straight twigs, and Nimbus 2000 written in gold near the top. At 7 o'clock drew near, Harry left the castle and set off in dust towards the Quidditch field. He'd never been inside the stadium before. Hundreds of seats were raised in stands around the field so that the spectators were high enough to see what was going on. At either end of the field were 3 golden poles at the hoops on the ends. They reminded Harry of the little plastic sticks Muggles children blew bubbles through, except they were 50 feet high. Too eager to fly again, to wait for wood, Harry mounted his broomstick and kicked off from the ground. What a feeling! He swooped in and out of the goalpost and then sped up and down the flying field. The Nimbus 2000 turned whenever he wanted it, at his lightest touches. Hey, Potter, come down! Oliver Wood had arrived. He was carrying a large wooden crate under his arm. Harry landed next to him. Very nice, said Wood, his eyes glistening. I see what McGonagall meant. You really are a natural. I'm just going to teach you the rules this evening, then you'll be able to join team practice 3 times a week. He opened the crate. Inside were 4 different-sized balls. Right, said Wood. Now, Quidditch is easy enough to understand, even if it's not too easy to play. There are 7 players on each side. 3 of them are called chasers. 3 chasers, Harry repeated as Wood took out a bright red ball about the size of a soccer ball. This ball is called a quaffle ball. Quaffle, said Wood. The chaser threw the quaffle to each other and try and get it through one of the hoops to score a goal. 10 points every time the quaffle goes through one of the hoops. Follow me. The chasers throw the quaffle and put it through the hoops to score it. Harry recited. So, that's sort of like basketball and broomsticks without 6 holes, isn't it? What's basketball? Yep, Oliver's so pure wizard, said Wood curiously. Never mind, said Harry quickly. Now there's another player on each side who's called the keeper. I'm keeper up for Gryffindor. I have to fly around our hoops and stop the other team from scoring. 3 chasers, 1 keeper, said Harry, who was determined to remember it all. And they play with a quaffle. Okay, got that. So what are they for? He pointed at the 3 balls left inside the box. I'll show you now, said Wood. Take these. He handed Harry a small club, a bit like a short baseball bat. I'm going to show you what the bludgers do, Wood said. These 2 are the bludgers. He showed Harry 2 identical balls, jet black and slightly smaller than the red quaffle. Harry noticed that they seemed to be straining to escape the straps holding them inside the box. Stand back, Wood warned Harry. He bent down and freed one of the bludgers. At once, the black ball rose high in the air and then pelted straight at Harry's face. Harry swung at it and with the bat to stop it from breaking his nose and zigzagging away in the air. It zoomed around their heads and then shot at Wood, who dived on top of it and managed to pin it to the ground. See? Wood panted, forcing the struggling bludger back into the crate and strapping it down safely. The bludgers rocket around, trying to knock players off their brooms. That's why you've had 2 beaters on each team. The Weasley twins are ours. It's their job to protect their side from the bludgers and try to knock them towards the other team. So, think you've got all that? Holy crap. Three chasers try and score with the quaffle. The keeper guards the goalpost, and the beater keeps the bludgers away from the team. Harry rolled off. Very good, said Wood. Have the bludgers ever killed anyone? Harry asked, hoping he sounded offhand. Never at Hogwarts. We had a couple of broken jaws, but nothing worse than that. Now, the last member of the team is a seeker. That's you. And you don't have to worry about the quaffle or the bludgers, unless I crack my head open. Don't worry, the Weasleys are more than a match for the bludgers. I mean, they're like a pair of human bludgers themselves. Literally. Wood reached into the crate and took out the 4th and last ball. Compared to the quaffle and the bludgers, it was tiny, around the size of a large walnut. It was bright gold and had little fluttering silver wings. This, said Wood, is the golden snitch, and it's the most important ball of the lot. It's very hard to catch because it's so fast and difficult to see. The seeker's job is to catch it. You've got to wave in and out of the chasers, beaters, bludgers, and quaffles to get it before the other team's seeker. Because whichever seeker catches the snitch wins his team an extra 150 points, so they nearly always win. That's why seekers get fouled so much. A game of Quidditch only ends when the snitch is caught, so it can go on for ages. I think the record is 3 months they had to keep bringing up substitutes so the players could get some sleep. Holy crap. Well, that's it. Any questions? Harry shook his head. He understood what he had to do all right. It was doing it that was going to be the problem. We won't practice with a snitch yet, said Wood carefully, setting it back inside the crate. It's too dark, we might lose it. Let's try you out with a few of these. He pulled a bag of ordinary golf balls out of his pocket, and a few minutes later he and Harry were up in the air. Harry threw the golf balls as hard as he could in every direction for Harry to catch. Harry didn't miss a single one, and Wood was delighted. After half an hour, night had really fallen, and they couldn't carry on. That Quidditch Cup will have our name on it this year, said Wood happily as they trotted back to the castle. I wouldn't be surprised if he turned out better than Charlie Weasley. He could have played for England if he hadn't gone off chasing dragons. Perhaps it was because he was now so busy that, what with Quidditch practice 3 weekends at night, with 8 evenings a week, on top of all his homework, but Harry could hardly believe it when he realized he'd already been at Hogwarts 2 months. The castle felt more like home than Private Drive ever had. His lessons, too, were becoming more and more interesting now that they had mastered the basics. On Halloween morning, they walked to the delicious smell of baking pumpkin wafting through the corridors. Even better, Professor Flitwick announced in chimes that he thought they were ready to start making objects fly. Something they had all been dying to try since they'd seen him make Devil's Toad zoom around the classroom. Professor Flitwick put the class into pairs practice. Harry partnered with Seamus Finnegan, which was a relief because Neville had to try to catch his eye. Ron, however, was too busy working with Hermione Granger. It was hard to tell whether Ron or Hermione was angry about this. She hadn't spoken to either of them since the day Harry's broomstick arrived. Now, don't forget the nice wrist movement we've been practicing, squeaked Flitwick. I haven't said Filch. Perched on the top of his pile of books as usual. Swish and flick, remember, swish and flick. And saying the magic words properly is very important, too. Never forget Wizard Buffalo, who said S instead of F and found himself on the floor with a buffalo on his chest. Oh. It was very difficult. Harry and Seamus swished and flicked, but the feather never. They were supposed to be sending skyward. Just lay on the desktop. Seamus got so impatient that he probed it with his wand and set it to fire. Harry had to put it out with his hat. Ron, at the next table, wasn't having much luck. Wingardium Leviosa, he shouted, waving his long arms around like to and round. You're saying it wrong. You're saying it wrong. Harry heard Hermione snap. It's Wingardium Leviosa. Make the guard nice and long. You do it then. You're so clever. Ron stared.
Hey, Buddha, do you know what happened to the nails?
Huh?
I guess fake vampire teeth.
I know. Hermione rolled up the sleeves of her gown, flicked her wand, and said, Wingardium Leviosa. Their feather rose off the desk and hovered about 4 feet above their heads. Well done, cried Professor Flitwick, clapping. Everyone, see here, but Miss Granger's done it. Ron was in a very bad mood by the end of the class.
You don't know what those teeth?
No, I don't know where they are.
Trying to make fake teeth for us.
Why?
Because you said you wanted vampire teeth instead of black.
And the ones you can buy at the store, but okay. It's no wonder no one can stand her, he said to Harry as they pushed their way to the crowded corridor. She's a nightmare, honestly. Someone knocked into Harry as they hurried past. It was Hermione. Harry caught a glimpse of her face. It was startled to see that she was in tears. I think she heard you. So, said Ron, but he looked a bit uncomfortable. She must have noticed she's gotten her friends. Ron, you're a complete asshole. Hermione didn't turn up for the next class and wasn't seen all afternoon. On the way to the Great Hall for the Halloween feast, Harry and Ron overheard Parzival Patel telling her friend Lavender that Hermione was in the girls' bathroom crying and wanted to be left alone. Ron looked still more awkward at this, but A moment later, they had entered the great hall, where the Halloween decorations put Hermione out of their minds. 1,000 live bats fluttered from the walls and ceilings, while 1,000 more swooped over the tables in low black clouds, making the candles and the pumpkins shudder. The feast appeared suddenly on the golden plates as it had at the start of term banquet. Harry was just helping himself to a baked potato when Professor Quirrell came sprinting into the hall, his turban askew and terror on his face. Everyone stared as he reached Professor Dumbledore's chair. Slumped against the table, gasped the Troll. In the dungeon. Thought you ought to know. Then he sank to the floor in a dead faint. There was an uproar. It took several purple firecrackers exploding from the end of Professor Dumbledore's wand to bring silence. Parfix, he rumbled. Lead your houses back to the dormitories immediately. Percy was in his element. Follow me, stick together. First years, no need to fear the Troll if you follow my orders. Stay close behind me now. Make way. First year's coming along. Excuse me, I'm a perfect. How could a Troll get in? Harry asked as they climbed the stairs. Don't ask me, they're supposed to be really stupid, said Ron. Maybe Peeves let it in for a Halloween joke. They passed different groups of people hurrying in different directions. As they jostled in their way through a crowd of confused Hufflepuffs, Harry suddenly grabbed Ron's arm. I just thought, Hermione, what about her? What about her? She doesn't know about the Troll. Ron bit his lip. Oh, all right, he snapped, but Percy's better not see us. Ducking down, they joined the Hufflepuffs going the other way, slipping down a deserted side corridor and hurried off towards the girls' bathroom. They had just turned the corridor when they heard quiet footsteps behind them. Percy hissed, Ron pulling Harry behind a large stone griffin. Peering around it, however, they saw not Percy but Snape. He crossed the corridor and disappeared from view. What's he doing? Harry whispered. Why isn't he down in the dungeon with the rest of the teachers? Searched me. Quietly as possible, they crept along. That makes no sense whatsoever. Okay. Quietly as possible, they crept along the next corridor after Snape's fading footsteps. He's heading to the third floor, Harry said, but Ron held out his hand. Can you smell something? Harry sniffed a foul stench reaching his nostrils, a mixture of old socks and the kind of public toilet no one seems to clean. And then you heard it, a loud grunting. A loud grunting and the shuffling footfalls of gigantic feet. Ron pointed at the end of the passage to the left. Something huge was moving towards them. They shrank into the shadows and watched as it emerged from a path of moonlight. It was a horrible sight. 12 feet tall, and its skin was a dull granite gray. Its great body like a boulder, with its small bald head perched on top like a coconut. It had short legs, thick as tree trunks, with flat, horny feet. The smell coming from it was incredible. It was holding a huge wooden club which dragged along the floor because of its arms were so long. The troll stopped next to a doorway, peered inside. It was wiggled its long ears, making up its tiny mind, then slouched slowly into the room. The key's in the lock, Harry muttered. We could lock it in. Good idea. Said Ron nervously. They edged towards the open door, mouths dry, praying the troll wasn't about to come out. Thanks. With one great leap, Harry managed to grab the key, slam the door, and lock it. Yes. Flushed with their victory, they started to run back to the passageway. When they reached the corridor, they heard something that made their hearts stop. A horrified pitch scream, and it was coming from the chamber they just changed up. Oh, jeez, guys, just locked Hermione in the girls' bathroom with the damn troll. Oh no, Ron said. Ron telling us as the Blueberry. It's a girl's bathroom. Harry gasped. Hermione! They said together. It was the last thing they wanted to do, but what choice did they have? Wheeling around, they sprinted back towards the door, back to the door, around the keys, fumbling in their panic. Harry pulled the door open and they ran inside. Hermione Granger was shrieking against the wall opposite, looking as if she wanted to faint. The troll was advancing on her, knocking the sinks off the walls as it went. Confuse it, said Harry. Harry said desperately to Ron and seized a trap. A tap. He threw it as hard as he could against the wall. The troll stopped a few feet from Hermione. It lumbered around, blinking stupidly to see what had made the noise. Its mean little eyes saw Harry. It hesitated and made for him instead, lifting its club as it went. "Oi! Pea-brain!" yelled Ron from the other side of the chamber, and he threw a metal pipe at it. The troll didn't even seem to notice the pipe hitting its shoulder, but it heard the yell and paused again, turning its ugly snout towards Ron instead, giving Harry time to run around it. "Come on, run, run!" Harry yelled at Hermione, trying to pull her towards the door. But she couldn't move. She was still flat against the wall, her mouth open with terror. The shouting and the echo seemed to be driving the troll berserk. It roared again and started towards Ron, who was nearest and had no way to escape. Harry then did something that was both very brave and very stupid. He took a great running jump and managed to fasten his arms around the troll's neck from behind. The troll couldn't feel Harry hanging there, but even a troll will notice if you stick a long bit of wood up its nose. Harry's wand had just been in its hand when he jumped, and it had gone straight up one of the troll's nostrils. Howling with pain, the troll twisted and flailing its club with Harry, clinging on for dear life. Any second the troll was going to rip him off or catch him a terrible blow. Oh, I'm so tired. With a club. Hermione had sunk to the floor in fright. Ron pulled out his wand, not knowing what he was going to do. Hear himself cry the first spell that came to his head. Wingardium Leviosa. The club flew suddenly out of the troll's head, rose high, and up and into the air, turning slowly, and dropped with a sinking crack in the owner's head. The troll swayed on the spot when then fell flat on his face with a thud that made the whole room tremble. Harry got to his feet. He was shaking out and out of breath. Ron was standing there with his wand still raised, staring at what he had done. It was Hermione who spoke first. "Is it dead?" "I don't think so," said Harry. "I think it's just knocked out." He bent down and pulled his wand out of the troll's nose. It was covered in what looked like lumps of gray glue. "That's disgusting." Ugh, troll boogies. He wiped it on the troll's trousers. A sudden slamming. Oh, crap. Ugh. A sudden slamming and a loud footsteps made the three of them look up. They hadn't realized what a racket they had been making, but of course someone downstairs must have heard the crashes and the troll's roars. A moment later, Professor McGonagall had come bursting in the room. Closely behind was followed by Snape, with Quirrell bringing up the rear. Quirrell took one look at the troll, let out a faint whisper, and sat quickly down on the toilet, clenching his heart. Snape bent over the troll. Professor McGonagall was looking at Ron and Harry. Harry had never seen her look so angry. Her lips were white. Hopes of winning 50 points for Gryffindor faded quickly from Harry's mind. "What on earth were you two thinking of?" Professor McGonagall said with cold fury in her voice. Harry looked at Ron, who was still standing with his wand in the air. "You're lucky you weren't killed. Why aren't you in your dormitory?" Snape gave Harry a swiftly piercing look. Harry looked at the floor. He wished Ron would put his wand down. Then a small voice came from the shadows. "Please, Professor McGonagall, they were looking for me." "Miss Granger." Hermione had managed to get to her feet at last. "I went looking for the troll, because I thought I could deal with it on my own. You know, because I read all about them." Ron dropped his wand. Hermione Granger telling a downright lie to a teacher. Holy crap, Hermione, are you insane? If you get caught, McGonagall's going to kill you. "If they hadn't found me, I'd be dead by now." Harry stuck his wand up its nose, and Ron knocked it out with its own club. They didn't have time to come and fetch anyone. It was about to finish me off when they had arrived. Harry and Ron looked at it as though the story wasn't new to them. "Well, in that case," Professor McGonagall, staring at them, the three of them. Miss Granger, you foolish girl. How could you think of tackling a mountain troll on your own? Hermione hung her head. Harry was speechless. Hermione was the last person to do anything against the rules, and here she was, pretending she had to get them out of trouble. It was as if Snape had started handing out sweets. Miss Granger, 5 points will be taken from Gryffindor for this, said Professor McGonagall. I'm very disappointed in you. If you're not hurt at all, you'd better get off to Gryffindor Tower. Students are finishing the feast in their houses. Hermione laughed. Professor McGonagall turned to Harry and Ron. Well, I still say you were lucky, but not many first years could have taken on a fully grown mountain troll. You each will win Gryffindor 5 points. Professor Dumbledore will be informed of this. You may go. They hurried out of the chamber and didn't speak at all until they climbed the 2 floors up. It was a relief to be away from the smell of the troll, quite apart from anything else. We should have gotten more than 10 points, Ron grumbled. 5, you mean, once she's taken off, once she's taken off Hermione's. Get off her to get us out of trouble like that, Ron admitted. Mind you, we did save her. She might have not needed saving if we hadn't locked the thing in with her, Harry reminded him. They reached the portrait of the fat lady. Shakes out, they said in entrance. The common room was packed and noisy. Everyone was eating the food and had been sent up. Hermione, however, stood alone by the door, waiting for them. There was an embarrassing pause. Then none of them looked at each other. They all said thanks and hurried off to get plates. But from the moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend. There are some things you can't share without ending up like each other. And knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll in one is one of them. Aww. Alright. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Bye.